Well. Arsenal 3, Fulham nil, and yo, that's a big result for Arsenal. Big result for Arsenal. But even better than the result was the performance. I know Arsenal fans were probably smiling watching that first half, and even me as a Man City fan, I was like, yo, they're low-key playing champagne football. Arsenal have been labelled as, playing harambe, Arteta being a terrorist, all of that. But yo, today against Fulham, especially in that first half, oh my days, absolute domination. It was peak. In particular, Bukayo Saka, like everything was going through Bukayo Saka. We look at the first goal. Absolutely sits down Raul Jimenez, sits him down, little fake shot, goes to the byline, crosses it in, Gyokeres is there for 1-0. But yo, every single Arsenal player, I would say, was just playing well in that first half. Miles Lewis-Skelly came in, first ever start in midfield for Arsenal. The guy didn't put a foot wrong. You know it is with Lewis-Skelly as well. He's so good at turning with the ball, carrying the ball. The guy is so strong. I'm pretty sure he's like only 19 years old, but he looks so strong. Like when he's driving with the ball, people are just bouncing off the guy, and it's like, yo, I have to give him credit because he came in today, first start in midfield, and he looked flawless, you understand. But yeah, everything was running through Saka. Eze had a few good touches as well. I remember there was one where the ball came into Eze. He dummied it, played a 1-2 with Trossard. Just little things like this. Arsenal were on the front foot. There was no nerves. And obviously, the crowd responded to that as well. The players, they went out there, no pressure. And the crowd responded. The crowd got up. Especially, they got that first goal. And then the second goal came from Bukayo Saka. Played a nice little ball from Gyokeres. Great vision. I'm pretty sure it was Eze. Yeah, Eze played the pass down the channel. We all know Gyokeres, he loves them channels. Runs down. Little flick with the outside of his boot to Saka. Saka hits it near post, 2-0, and he deserved that. And you saw the celebration. He was shushing, telling people, he was basically saying he's heard the noise. You understand? He's heard the noise. People have had a lot to say about Arsenal, a lot to say about Saka. But I'm pretty sure, he's had 6 games off and it's done him good because today he looks sharp. Today he looks hungry. Anytime he got the ball, he wanted to go at Anthony Robertson or whether it was Jimenez, whoever it was. Everything just ran through Saka today. It was almost low-key like we're watching when Yamal plays for Barca. Everything's going through him, and that's what Saka did today. He had the captain's armband and he played like a captain. He stood up tall. He said, yo, give me the ball, let me take you, man, there. But yeah, him and Gyokeres, to be fair, multiple players down that right hand side, lots of little combinations. It was very nice. But even guys like Declan Rice would get involved. I remember Declan Rice played a nice little slide ball into Saka. Ben White would get involved. I think Ben White had a few shaky moments, giving the ball away cheaply. The ball was rolling under his foot sometimes, but luckily it didn't cost Arsenal, you understand. And to be fair, the first 30 minutes, it was utter domination, you know what I'm saying? It was utter domination. Even Trossard on the other side had a few good touches. Calafiori had the goal disallowed. Trossard found himself on the right wing. Trossard, he loves that little fake shot. He loves a chop. Chopped it back onto his left. Little dink into the middle. Calafiori, it was a great header, but ultimately he got disallowed. But yeah, first 30 minutes from Arsenal, absolute domination. I don't think Fulham even had a shot on target in that first half. To be fair, I can't even remember them having a shot on target in the entire game, to be fair. But yeah, Fulham could not get out of their half in that first 30 minutes. But then from minute 30, I'd say, up until the next Arsenal goal, spaces started to appear, and I started to think to myself, oh, is this happening again for Arsenal? Smith Rowe started to find a few pockets. Gyokeres started running with the ball. Jimenez was touching the ball a bit more. Fulham had some corners as well. I was thinking, spaces are starting to appear. Fulham are starting to bop the ball through the lines. That 10-minute period from like minute 30 to minute 40. But then ultimately, minute 40 came, and this was the dagger from Arsenal, And to be fair, Leandro Trossard does very well. He was positive. What he did basically just personified Arsenal the whole first half. They were positive in everything they did. They took the game to Fulham. They played how champions are supposed to play, you understand? They didn't do the thing that they did against Newcastle, of what they've done in the past, where they get one and then they try to sit back and say, we'll just take the 1-0. Nah, they had their foot on Fulham's necks for basically the entire half. So, ball gets played out to Trossard. He goes at his man, he's positive, little step over, great ball, and then great header by Gyokeres. You know, just guided it, just had to redirect it back where it came from, straight into the middle of the goal. Bernd Leno had already, you know, committed to his left hand side, and Gyokeres bang just redirects the header into the middle of the goal, and that's 3-0, and that's game over. And yeah, if you're an Arsenal fan, I'm not even. You should be very, very happy. Like, even the Arsenal fans, they were giving the team a standing ovation in after that first half, and it was well deserved. I can't even lie. Even me as a Man City fan, I have to admit that that first half by Arsenal was beautiful. That's how you're supposed to play as champions, you understand? That's how, when you're gunning for a title, that's a statement win, you understand? That's how you go about your business. You handle business. They handle business in the first half. And yeah, that's what you do as champions. But yeah, fair play to Bukayo Saka. Everything ran through him. Victor Gyokeres, I think his all-round game today was good. He was relishing those challenges with Joachim Anderson. He wanted to get physical. He wanted to run channels. That's how centre forwards are supposed to play, you understand? Early on in the season, he was struggling for goals, but I've sort of seen improvements in his game. Not just him scoring goals, but just the overall play, you know, linking up with players, running the channels. I actually think he's getting the ball a lot more in those channels as well, you understand? They're starting to feed him a bit more, especially for that Saka goal, you know, Eze feeding him the ball, Eze getting the ball, quickly looking up and then feeding him, you understand? But everything from Arsenal today, especially in that first half, was just on the front foot. You know, Rice playing forward passes, Eze playing forward passes, Trossard going at his man, Saka trying to be positive all the time. It was great to see, and this is what we like to see from Arsenal. You know, the handbrake off. Normally, you know, Arteta, it feels like maybe it's a managerial instruction to where, you know, they get a goal and Arteta tells them, yo, let's just sit back, just keep the ball. But today they played with no pressure, you understand? They played with absolutely no pressure. There was no nervousness, unlike the game last week against Newcastle. You know, when you were watching on TV, it would pan to, you know, fans biting their nails, hands on their heads, you know, stressing. But today it was just stress-free. They got to watch champagne football, especially in that first half. So yeah, fair play. That's how champions handle business, bro. And now they're 6 points. They're 6 points clear. I think they've scored more goals than Man City now. I'm pretty sure it's 3 more goals than Man City. And yeah, people were saying that, yo, you know, when Man City beat Arsenal, people were saying, yo, you know, Man City have a game in hand. But like I mentioned before, I'm a Man City fan, and I was saying, yo, it's cool to have a game in hand, but at the end of the day, you have to win those games in hand. You know what I'm saying? Because now we have 2 games in hand. I'm pretty sure our first game in hand, away at Everton on Monday, that's not going to be easy. Everton are low-key chasing a European place, you know what I'm saying? So first we have to go deal with business there. Then Arsenal play, and then we play again, you understand? So it's all good having the games in hand, but you still have to win those games in hand. And Arsenal, in my opinion, today made an absolute statement, especially that first half, sensational football. Obviously, in the second half, you know, Arsenal made changes. You know, Max Darman came on, Madueke came on at the half for Bukayo Saka, but it was uneventful. It was not like the first half, but it didn't need to be for Arsenal, you understand? There was a few little moments here and there. Calafiori hit the ball from a corner. But like I said, me personally, I was impressed by Miles Lewis-Skelly. I always knew he was a player, you know. A lot of people were putting smart on Skelly's name, talking about, he's not good enough. I'm hearing rumours that he's going to Man United. And I'm just thinking, yo, if Arsenal know what's good for them, in my opinion, you have to keep a player like that. Like, he's absolute quality. Even if you play him left back or in midfield. I know in left back he is a little bit shaky in them 1v1 situations, which is understandable because he's not a natural defender. But I still think he can do a job at left back, especially for a team who dominates the ball. He won't have to do too much defending, you understand? So with him, even if he does play left back for the foreseeable future, whether it's for Arsenal or for another team, if it's a team that dominates the ball, in my opinion, it's going to be alright for him, you understand? Maybe he's going to have to go training, work on his crossing, but I'm pretty sure he'll get better at his crossing, you understand? Because with him, it's not a matter of quality, it's a matter of reps. He just hasn't got the reps in of just constantly crossing the ball, you understand? He hasn't really practiced that because he's been a midfielder all of his life. But it's not a case of he's not good enough to do it. He can do it, he's just going to need reps to do it. So yeah, for me, Miles Lewis-Skelly. Gyokeres got man of the match, I think rightly so, but I think Lewis-Skelly needs a big shout because, like I said, first game in midfield to come in, do that, you know what I'm saying? Not being afraid to pick up the ball and burst, running at players bouncing off him, you couldn't get the ball off him. they had to foul him. In my opinion, he deserves a big shout. And obviously Saka as well. Saka for that first half performance. It was, in my opinion, it was smart from Arsenal, smart from Arteta to, bring him off and not play the entire second half, you know what I'm saying? There's no point in even, risking it, saying to yourself, oh, let's give him an hour, let's give him 65. Nah, just game's done. Fulham didn't really have anything today, I'll be honest. Game's done. Just wrap him up, and then it's on to the semi-finals for in the Champions League for Arsenal. They got Atletico Madrid, big game at the Emirates again. They got a good result in midweek, so yeah, now they turn their attention and they look towards that. But yeah, Arsenal, that's how you put out a statement. That's how champions play. Everyone, in my opinion, was pretty solid. Everyone who started the game was solid. From Declan Rice was solid. Trossard, good moments. Eze had a nice few touches. Eze started off a bit slow, but he grew into the game. Had a few good touches. Gyokeres, his entire game, in my opinion, very, very good. Obviously, I mentioned Saka, I mentioned Lewis Skelly. Calafiori, solid at left back, didn't really put a foot wrong. Gabriel and Saliba, as always. Raya didn't have too much to do. I don't really remember Raya making a save at all. The only guy who was a little bit questionable was Ben White, but like I said, it didn't really cost us. It didn't cost Arsenal today. There was a few times on the ball a little bit sloppy, but like I said, ball rolling under his foot or a heavy touch. There was one in the first half where I just looked at the screen and I was like, yo, that is crazy. There was one where he sort of slightly drifts inside, somebody plays him the ball, and then he takes the touch back where he came from and it flies off his foot, and I was thinking, Jesus Christ. But yeah, like I said, second half they made subs. Dalman, Madueke, Jesus came on. Uneventful, but the job got done in the first half. That's the main thing for us, and they can take confidence. And the scary thing now is that their fans have confidence now, you know what I'm saying? You saw how they were at the end of that first half, how they were at the end of the game, clapping the team off. Now they feel, the Arsenal fans feel a lot better, and just the whole club as a whole is just feeling a lot better about their title chances, because they now know deep in, Arsenal only have 3 games, literally, Arsenal only have 3 games. If they win their next 3 games, they have a good chance that the title is coming home to them, you know what I'm saying? Man City still have 5 games to play, 5 games that are not easy at all. They have to handle their business. We'll see who scores the most goals, but yeah, this, in my opinion, this was a big win for Arsenal. I feel like this is one of them performances that gives them belief. The fans, but especially the players. I feel like the players can believe now, you know what I'm saying? There's always them in title runnings, there's always them games you look back and you're like, yeah, that's where they won the title. For me, it feels like this one for Arsenal. It feels like, yo, this is the one where they believe that, yo, they do have the ability to go out there, put their foots on the necks of their opponents and have a good performance, play good football, score goals at will. They could have had 5 or 6 today, let's be honest. So yeah, I have to give them credit, but they take their attention to Atletico Madrid on Tuesday. We'll see what Man City do against Everton on Monday. But yeah, Man City, they have to take care of business. But yeah, this was a big win in the title race for Arsenal. They played well. Gyokeres got the man of the match, but Saka and Lewis Skelly, brilliant performances as well.